Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor here. So good to be with y'all on another Saturday night. Welcome to Free. We are, if you're new with us, which some of you are new with us, I know this, we're a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. Why do we call this place Free? Because all the things that set us free, grace, compassion, love, forgiveness, these are the things that are so freely given. So we call this place, these people, this community free, because God gives us these things so freely to set us free. All right, y'all, we've got some things I want y'all to know about. First, Drew Bickford. Is Drew Bickford in the house? I know he is. That was a rhetorical question. Drew, would you come up here for a moment? Yes, clap for Drew. Let's clap for Drew. Look at this. Hey, I just wanted to bring Drew up because y'all see my face every Saturday. You see some other faces every Saturday. But this face I get to see every Saturday. What you need to know about Drew is he's our tech team lead. When I get here on Saturday afternoons, and it's usually about around 2 or 3 o'clock, Drew's already here, getting things rolling. Drew's here till about 9 o'clock tonight. It's not a 1-week thing. Drew does this Saturday in and Saturday out. And it's not just on Saturdays. He's with us through the week. He helped us build the website to get us going live. I know you and Danny work closely together. Drew, I just wanted people to see your face.
Thank you.
That blue shirt looks good on him too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
New free gear, breaking the silence. There we go. Drew, I'm so glad you're part of this community. I just wanted to publicly say thank you, and I wanted people to know who you are because this dude does a lot here. So can we give a round of applause for Drew Bickford? Thanks, buddy. Always saying hi to Mom. All right, y'all, here's how we want to start tonight because tonight we're going to go deep into the Valley of Dry Bones. But before we get to the Valley of Dry Bones, and if you're like, what in the heck is that about? Well, we're going to get there, so just hang tight. But before we go there, and when we're in the valley, what I know is we all come from different parts of the journey. We're at different places in the journey in recovery. So we want to do what we're calling a sober check-in. I want y'all to just take a moment. Danny, is there a video for this, or is it? 1.5 minute video. 1.5 minutes. We're going to take 90 seconds. Just do a sober check-in. Let us know your sobriety date. Let us know your recovery date. And y'all, this isn't just for recovering addicts and alcoholics. Maybe you are, this series we've been in Boundaries. It's for the loved ones of the addicts. Maybe you are the loved one of and you've been in recovery. Give us your recovery date. We want to see where we are in the journey. We want to celebrate these things. So take 90 seconds. And if you're live here in the room, you can open up your Facebook. If you have Facebook, put it in the comments, or YouTube, put it in the comments, and just drop it in the comments. Let us know your sobriety date we want to celebrate.
Years or months, and we're going to tally it up and post it next week.
So what are we saying?
If you have 9 months, put 9 months. If you have 1 month, put 1 month. If you have 5 years, put 5 years.
Okay.
We're going to tally.
Danny's giving me instruction here, so I'm going to listen to Danny, all right? Danny's saying put your years and months. So if you've had 5 years, put 5 years. If you have 2 days, put 2 days. At the end, we're going to tally it all up so we know where we stand as a community, where we are. And like I say, I realize everyone's at different parts of the journey. We celebrate all of it here, so take 90 seconds. Give us your years, months, or days, or hours. All right, y'all, we'll come right back in 90. Hey, thanks, y'all. That was fun. We've got some people, we did it here in the room too with the few people that are here. And I know you guys are commenting online. So keep them coming in the comments. We will keep celebrating. And Danny will be monitoring in the back, and we're going to add it all up at the end. We'll put out a number later this week. But hey, we are closing this series. This is our last week in a series called Boundaries, Loving the Addict in Your Life. This series has been geared towards, designed for the loved one of the addict and the pain and suffering and joys that you all get to experience together. And we're going to wrap that series up tonight. But before we get there, I want to let you know what's happening next week. We're launching into a new series. It's going to be, I think it's going to be a 5-week series. I say I think because we might add a little bonus week onto this one. I haven't decided yet. But this series is called Selfless. Here's a little promo video on Selfless, then we'll get to celebrations. Y'all know why we're doing that series? Because today actually marks the day that some of y'all made New Year's resolutions, and they were all about yourself, which I'm not knocking it. Everyone does it, right? We make these resolutions about how we're going to better ourselves. Today is the day most people fall off the wagon when it comes to their resolutions. Someone posted that on Facebook. Did you post that on Facebook?
Yeah.
Today's the day. I don't know, though. The gym was pretty crazy today still, so we're waiting for the gym to drop off because it makes life better. So stop going to the gym, everybody. So what we're going to do for that next series is talk about what does it look like when you make some commitments and some resolutions, some decisions in your life that aren't just based around you, but they're based on serving and loving other people. Which, by the way, if you're in recovery, if you're in sobriety, you know that self-centeredness, well, it was the root to all of our problems. So we have to find a new way in life, and we're going to talk about that new way in life. And I can't wait to jump into that series with you. But let's start with celebrations. Here at Free, it's how we begin every week. We start with celebrations, the good stuff. We don't ignore the hard stuff. We don't ignore the heartaches, the pain, the burdens that we carry. We just save it for the end. We start with joy and celebrating. It can be the simple things. So I want you all to get vulnerable on your Facebook feed or your YouTube comments, or if you're on the website, and give us the good news. Give us the things you're celebrating, because we want to celebrate those things with you. Sobriety dates that we just did, we want to celebrate that with you. We want to celebrate new jobs, new babies, new life, all the new things in life. We want to celebrate that. We believe that God joins with us in these celebrations. And something really profound happens when thousands of people are literally celebrating these things with you throughout the week. So let's take a couple of minutes, get vulnerable in the comments, let people into your life so we can celebrate together. Take a couple minutes, then we'll come back.
Secret is I just smile and say follow me. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the world. Life's too short not to really live. I got a big heart, I can let you in. I'm sitting on top of the world, on top of the
No, you didn't. I don't know.
Okay, we're live. Whoa,
We're live.
this thing, it just jumps up on us. Sometimes you don't know how to act, how to respond. We get all awkward. Hey guys, Saman Myers with me tonight.
Hey,
Saman's
everyone!
home team lead. Now, usually standing next to me, it's Tammy Canaday. Y'all know Tammy. Tammy is, she's at home tonight with the babies, with the kids. She's actually on the feed. She's interacting with you all as free, but she's not actually here tonight. So she's here, but she's not here. She's taking a week off. It's been a long, trying week. So she is at home resting, kind of. How do we say that? Kind of, because she's with us tonight.
You can never rest when
Hi,
you're a
honey.
mother.
Love you, miss you.
We
All
do
right,
love you and miss you.
let's do some celebration, should we?
Yes. Can
Let's
I
do
start
it.
off with one real quick?
Yes,
that
do
needs
it.
to be dropped in.
Do
but
it.
I want to celebrate Lou, who had 13 years this past week. You had 13 years of sobriety.
Lou, another home team member. Yes.
Amazing.
Love you, Lou.
Yes.
Congratulations. All right, shall we put some on the screen? You want me to take this one?
Sure.
Since you just went, that's how we do it?
I
Just
guess
go back
so.
and forth.
I can
Chris
take 'em
Watson
all. I
says
don't-
you could. Selfless is the next series. We celebrated my grandmother and her 99 years on this big blue marble and her passing into Jesus' arms.
Oh.
Chris, you know what? That's a celebration, and we're celebrating that with you, that sacred moment and the sacred time in life. Thank you for sharing that with this community. Love you, brother. Glad you're here.
Kathy S.
From
celebrated.
YouTube.
From YouTube. Missed that. Thank you for catching that. Celebrating coffee chats with recovery friends. Yeah,
All right, Kathy.
that's the best.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Kathy Leslie says, John and Leslie both have 2 years sobriety tomorrow. John and Leslie, that is so awesome. Congratulations. We got to, shoot, you know this because you were part of it. We baptized Leslie and you and Drew and a couple of
And
few others.
Kinsey.
And oh my goodness, everyone's here. And Tawny.
And Tawny.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
So Leslie, so awesome. We're celebrating that with you. Thank you for
Amazing.
being here tonight, John and Leslie.
Woo-woo.
All right.
Missy, we are celebrating being here with all of you and gathering with friends in God's name. Thank you for bringing so much goodness into our small part of Washington. Sorry.
WA
Trips
is
me up
Washington.
sometimes.
Hold on, keep that comment
Us
up a moment,
foreigners.
Drew. Missy, we're glad you're here.
Yes.
There's a free circle, a group of you gathering, I believe, in your home.
So awesome.
All the way in Washington. And y'all check this out. There's also groups gathering on the other side of the coast in North Carolina. There's sober houses gathered all over, tuning into the service. And y'all need to know you're loved. Y'all also need to know 75, Danny, is it 75 countries?
45.
45 countries, followers of our free Facebook page and what's happening here in 45 different countries, translated in 20 different languages.
That's
So
amazing.
the mission of breaking the silence of addiction is literally all over the world. So Missy, we're glad you're here from Washington.
Yay!
Welcome to your whole crew. Glad you're here.
And if you're wondering, New Zealand is represented. I checked.
Barely, but they are represented.
Barely, yeah. I don't even think they're my peeps, but who knows. Deborah says, having my grandson spending the night at my house. He is 4 years old. Ah,
That's a joy. That's a
that is a big
celebration.
joy.
Thank you, Deborah, lifting that up with
Yeah.
you. All right, do we have another one? Janet Epps says, my mother celebrated her 92nd birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy
Thank you for lifting that
birthday.
up, Janet. We're celebrating that with you. You all right?
Cindy, hey Cindy. Dinner with my friend Brenda. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Dinner with friends. So few
It's
and
a simple
far
celebration.
So few and far between these days, it seems, because of everything that we've been going through. But so, yeah, let's celebrate that.
And if it's the Brenda I'm thinking of, hi Brenda, hi Cindy. Glad you're both part of this community. It's good to have you all here. All right. Free, celebrating my wife launching her new leather earring business. That's not my wife. That is not my wife doing the earring business. She's
That
talking.
is,
This
I
is
saw
Danny
that.
who is coming in as free. And Shirley just launched her earring business. Yeah, very cool. Shirley, keep going. That's awesome. Let us know when we can purchase.
So fun.
Congratulations.
Oh,
All right, you get to read this one.
Jennifer. Okay, I get yours. Thank you. All right, celebrating. Oh, I saw this. Celebrating placing our last rescue, Oliver, after only being with us for 1 week. We placed him with Amy and her 12-year-old son, David. Last year, David went to wake his dad up from the couch. He had passed on, heart attack in his sleep. It's been a very tough year. Amy wanted to bring a hound dog. back into their home to help healing. Welp, 13.5 hours drive, and we made that happen. Nice. Glory be to God. You guys are amazing. Jennifer, Jen, you and Christy do like some good stuff there.
Awesome.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Tons, your choice when you want to move.
Okay, let's, you know what, we're going to do 2 more. I've been made aware we have tons. Keep them coming in because we celebrate these with you. We do got to cut it off at some point, but we're going to keep them going. Hallie says, Dee and I celebrating our 1-year anniversary on Monday, God willing. And Dee, as in Derek, just celebrated 11 months sober today. So glad y'all are part of this community. And they're going to have dinner at an unknown location, right? Can't be told. Taco Bell. All right, let's do one more.
Peyton, new job, renewed relationships.
All right, Peyton.
Amen.
Way to go, brother.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right, thank you for being with me tonight.
You're
Simone.
welcome.
We just knocked it out of the house. Out of the house? Out of the park? Whatever. Celebrating with you all. Thank you for being part of these community celebrations. So important for this community because, as you know, sometimes we can get bogged down in the depths, in the darkness, in the valley. So thank you for being part of that. All right, y'all, we're going to jump into our message for tonight. But before we do that, let's start with a little boundaries video to kick us off. So it was a few weeks before we started free. It was a few weeks before we actually opened up our backyard to our very first free gathering. And I was talking with a guy, and I'll never forget this conversation, and I'll actually never forget where we were. We were standing in the sanctuary of the church where I was at the time serving as one of the pastors. And I was casting a vision with him about what free was going to be. And I shared with him some statistics that addiction now affects more lives than heart disease, than diabetes, than cancer. I shared with him that 23.5 million Americans suffer with drug or alcohol addiction. I shared with him that the state of Colorado has one of the highest overdose rates, death rates in the nation. And that right here in Arapahoe County, those death overdose rates have more than doubled in the last 15 years. I told him that Highlands Ranch, where we were standing at the time, where I currently live, Highlands Ranch, a south suburb of Denver, an affluent suburb, that Highlands Ranch was just listed as the new heroin capital of Colorado. I shared with him that in Colorado in the last 10 years, the suicide rate has climbed from 16.5% to a stunning 19.4% per 100,000 residents. I told him that addiction was winning in our community, that families and the loved ones of the addicts, that they were feeling hopeless, that they were suffering. I told him that people were giving up on the church project. And it wasn't just that they're giving up on the church project, but these people felt like they didn't belong with God. They felt like they'd been kicked out. I told him that free was going to be a place for addicts and loved ones of addicts and spiritual refugees. It was going to be a place of life for the dying and the disconnected. It was going to be a place where we could be open and honest with our struggles, open and honest with the darkness. And as we stood there in that sanctuary, I will never forget what he said to me. And y'all, it was out of pure love. It was with the very best of intentions. He said, Ryan, man, I got to be honest with you. It sounds pretty dark and heavy. He said, are you sure you want to leave this for that? And when he said that to me, there was a piece of me that thought, oh my goodness, did I get it wrong? Is this too much? Some of y'all know what happened the very next week. You know the story of Nick, 22 years old, on our leadership team to Start Free, a guy that I was sponsoring, a friend. His mom called me on that Monday morning and said that they had found Nick passed away with a needle in his arm, died of a heroin overdose. And I thought, oh my goodness, is it too much? Do I want to trade this for this? And today I stand before you as your pastor here of Free Spiritual Community. And I say with confidence and humility that I believe I'm exactly where God has called me to be, and you might be too.
Yes.
But here's the kicker, y'all. If you are part of this community, you need to know something, and we got to get real clear about it. We do not do our work in the promised land. We don't do our work where it's comfortable. We don't do our work in the land that's filled with milk and honey. Nothing wrong with that land, but that's not where we're called. That's not where our work is. We do our work in the valley of dry bones. It's the place of death and dying. It's the place of addiction. It's the place, it's overwhelming. It's a place of darkness, but it's also the place where new life is always possible. It is also the place where I'm convinced, because I've experienced it, you can experience, we together experience the very depths of joy. And I believe God is in this place. So Ezekiel was, let me get back in the camera here. Ezekiel was an Old Testament prophet. And you can think of prophets, some people, they've been told that prophets predict the future. This is not the case. You can think of prophets as spokespeople for God. They spoke to their own people, their people. And because it was their people and they loved their people, they also said some incredibly hard things to their people, but they always gave a word of hope to their people. And Ezekiel wasn't just any old prophet, he was a Hebrew prophet. And he was speaking during a time of what's called in history the Babylonian exile. Y'all heard of this, Babylonian exile? If you're not familiar with the Babylonian exile, it's when the Babylonians, they came into the land of Jerusalem and they ransacked the city. They destroyed the temple, and the temple was the center place in the community. It was the place where the people went to experience God. The Babylonians destroyed the temple. We're told, we have stories and documents where the Babylonians raped the women and children. They did awful things. They took the survivors, men included, and they brought them out of that land, out of their homeland, into the land of Babylon, where they lived in this foreign land of captivity. Some of the scenes are described as battle scenes in a valley where there's lots and lots of dead, lifeless bodies. Ezekiel is talking to his people who knew a thing or two about darkness, his people who had undergone some suffering. And see, Ezekiel is famous for, he had this gift of he would get these visions and then he would take the people on a tour through these visions. And so I wouldn't normally do this, but I want to read with you the entirety of this vision. It's found in Ezekiel chapter 37, and I act like it's long. It's like seriously 2 short paragraphs. But we don't usually read that much in this service when it comes to that kind of length. So I want you to hang with me, and I want you to ask these questions. Do you resonate with this vision? Does it speak to you? When you hear it, are you like, wait a minute, that's not thousands of years ago, that's today. Wait a minute, that's not them, that's me too. See if you find yourself in this story. Ezekiel chapter 37, verses 1 through 12. It's 12 verses. The Lord's power overcame me, and while I was in the Lord's Spirit, He led me out and set me down in the middle of a certain valley. It was full of bones. He led me through them all around, and I saw that there were a great many of them on the valley floor, and they were very dry. And y'all keep in mind, the image of dry bones, it's this metaphor, it's an image of what happens when you are exposed to the elements for too long. Some of y'all know exactly what this is about. Think of our context. Think of our community. Do you know what it's like to be exposed to the elements for too long? The elements of addiction, or for you loved ones of the addict. You've been exposed to the pain and the agony and the watching for too long. Let's keep going. He asked me, human one, can these bones live again? I said, Lord God, only you know that. He said to me, prophesy over these bones. When you see that word prophesy, another way to think of it is speak a good word into these bones. Give some hope. Ezekiel, give some hope. Prophesy over these bones and say to them, dry bones, hear the Lord's word. The Lord God proclaims to these bones, I am about to put breath in you, and you will live again. I will put sinews on you. Do you know what sinews are? They're the tissue that holds together bones and tendons and muscles. I will put sinews on you, place flesh on you, and cover you with skin. When I put breath in you and you come to life, you will know that I am the Lord. I prophesied just as I was commanded, and there was a great noise as I was prophesying. Then a great quaking, and the bones came together, bone by bone. When I looked, suddenly there were sinews on them. The flesh appeared, and they were covered over with skin, but there was still no breath in them. Let's pause there for just a moment. Is this your story? I mean, think about it. For those of you that are perhaps new in recovery, and again, I'm not talking just about you addicts or you alcoholics. I'm talking about those of you maybe new in recovery from being addicted to the addict. For those of you that been in recovery for a long time, think back to your early days in recovery. Isn't this exactly what it was like? Your bones started to come back together. You started to feel new life again. You maybe even looked in the mirror and you said, man, I'm seeing things that I haven't seen in myself before. It's like I can move again. I'm experiencing life in new ways again, but I still can't breathe all the way. Maybe it was the fear keeps creeping up, or shame keeps creeping up. My past keeps creeping up, and it's telling me lies. Isn't this exactly what it's like? You're starting to be put back together, but you can't breathe all the way again. And y'all stick with it. If you're new, stay put. Because this new life stuff, and this is not about life of resuscitation. Because I don't know about you, but when I got sober, I didn't want the old life. I didn't want to be resuscitated. I wanted new life. I wanted resurrected life. And for those of you that have been there, you know that resurrected life doesn't come easily and it doesn't come quickly. It takes some time, doesn't it? So stay put. Let's keep going. He said to me, prophesy to the breath. Prophesy, human one. Say to the breath, the Lord God proclaims, come from the four winds, breath. Breathe into these dead bodies and let them live. Was that ever your prayer? Breathe into this dead body and let me live. I prophesied just as he commanded. So this is the second time. When the breath entered them, they came to life and stood on their own feet, an extraordinarily large company. He said to me, human one, these bones are the entire house of Israel, the Hebrew people. They say, our bones are dried up and our hope is gone. We are completely cut off. And I want to pause there for just one more moment, because we have to understand something about the ancient Hebrew people. For them, the worst possible scenario was not literal death. That was a part of life. The worst possible scenario for them was to be cut off, for God to abandon them. That was worse than death itself. It was this feeling of total despair, the moment where you say, God is no longer present in this place. God isn't here. It's the kind of pain that seems like it's going to last forever. It's the kind of suffering that doesn't have any solutions. Have you been there? Have you felt totally cut off from God? Have you felt totally abandoned and total despair, worse than death itself? And some of you also know what it's like to have this sense that God is breathing life back into your lungs. Some of you know exactly what it's like to stand back on your own 2 feet in the company of others who have loved you and supported you and walked with you and have been with you on the journey. And what's God say to Ezekiel? The last verse. He says, so now, prophesy and say to them, the Lord God proclaims, I'm opening your graves and I will raise you up from your graves. Y'all do know God does God's best work in graveyards, in places of hopelessness, in places of utter despair. And in this vision, God is asking Ezekiel, Ezekiel, come with me. Come with me to this valley. Ezekiel, look at these dry bones. Do you believe that new life can happen even here? Can you imagine what Ezekiel's thinking? I mean, I don't know, God, maybe here, but do you see what's happened? Do you see what's going on here? Do you see what they've done to us? Doesn't God ask us the same question? Ryan, do you believe that new life can happen even here? I don't know, God, did you read the statistics that came out from Colorado just yesterday? I mean, overdose deaths are skyrocketed. The deaths themselves in Colorado are up nearly 20%. And the numbers aren't all the way in yet. Do you see what's happening, God? I mean, I don't know if new life can happen here. You've got to show us. Y'all, do you feel called to the valley of dry bones? And if you answer yes to that question, I want to affirm to you, this community needs you. This world needs you. Because you do know 81,000 people died of a drug overdose in the U.S. between June of 2019 and May of 2020. It's the highest number of overdose deaths ever recorded in a 12-month period by the CDC. Valley of dry bones. And you know that this current pandemic, it has caused even more people to turn to alcohol as a coping mechanism. Addiction rates have skyrocketed. Relapse, we're told, is up over 30%. I know in this community you've seen it, you've felt it, you've experienced it. The valley of dry bones. And y'all listen, it's predicted that alcoholism will kill well over 100,000 people this year in 2021. Think about that for a moment. The valley of dry bones. 40% of Americans are now grappling with at least one mental health or drug-related problem. Young adults have been hit especially hard by this, more than any other age group. They say that 75% of them say that they are struggling. CDC recently did a survey and asked this group of young adults, how many of you have thought about killing yourself over the last 30 days? 1 out of 4 of them said yes to that question. The valley of dry bones. And do you know what was just released this week? The number one reason for people leaving church. Do you know what it is? The number one reason people are leaving church is because they cannot be honest with their struggles. The valley of dry bones. Do you see why it's so important that for us in this community, what do we say every single week? We don't do shame, because what we now know is shame literally kills. Listen, if you're part of this community, and if you're here right now, you are part of this community. You're on the inside, because there's nothing you need to do to get membership here. You're part of this community. I want you to know you belong here. You have a place here. And listen, I know that we are all at different places in the journey. We're all at different points in the journey. If you didn't see John and Carrie's story from last week, being the loved ones of an addict, the parents of an addict, John reminded us, he gave us a stark reminder that, man, there was a time where I was living and I didn't have life. Everything had been taken from me. I gave it all away because I was addicted to the addict, and now I have new life. But he said it didn't happen overnight. It took years to get from here to hear. You see, some of you are here right now, and you're all welcome here. I really hope you know that and believe that. But some of you are here and you are the dead and dying in the valley. You are the dry bones. You're feeling completely cut off from God. If you even believe God exists, you say, even if God does exist, surely God doesn't care about what's happening to me right now. Maybe you're in the valley. Stay put. Seriously, stay put. Stay with us. Stay connected. I believe God can breathe new life into you because I've experienced it. I've seen it happen to too many people. Some of you, maybe you're just starting to feel like you're being put back together again. You're starting to feel new again. You're starting to feel human again, but you can't breathe all the way. And to you, my brothers and sisters, I say stay connected. Stay connected because, again, I believe it. God is breathing new life. The Ruach, the Spirit, is breathing new life like wind into you. And others of you are like little Ezekiels. You've been led here by God. And I say you've been led here because you wouldn't have chosen a life of addiction. You didn't choose to wake up one day and be an addict. You didn't choose to wake up one day and be the mom or dad of an addict or the brother or sister. But you've been led to this place. You followed God with a great deal of humility into this valley. And to you, my brothers and sisters, I say, please stay put. Please stay connected with this community because this community needs you. This valley of dry bones needs you. Colorado needs you. The world needs you. And if you're thinking to yourself right now, man, I don't know what to say though. Yes, I'm in the valley, but I don't know what to say, and I don't know what to do, and it's dark, and it's a little scary. Let me take some of the pressure off. You don't do the work. You don't do the, Derek knows this, don't you? You do not do the work of new life. Who does that? And if you think you did it, I promise you, you are missing it. God always does the work of new life. God is the one putting skin in you, on you. God is the one working with your sinews. God is the one breathing new life into you. All we get to do is show up. All we get to do is keep sharing experience, strength, and hope. That's it. God does the rest. Take some of the pressure off. Relax and take it easy. So I want you to take a moment and reflect, and we'll have it on the screen, a set of questions. Reflect, who are you? Are you the dry bones in the valley? Are you the one starting to get put back together again? You're experiencing new life? Are you the one that's an Ezekiel? You know what it's like, but you're also a little scared, a little timid. Who are you and what's the work to be done in the valley? Take a few minutes or a few seconds, a minute to be exact, and reflect. All right, y'all, thanks for hanging with us for a moment. And if you have comments on who you are, what the work is to be done, drop them in the comments section so that we can be on that journey with you, because what we know here is we always do this work and this journey together. And what we do every week here is have a guest storyteller. Now, last week, as I just mentioned a moment ago, we had John and Carrie, and they just brought some good news to us. And it was a little different. We actually pre-recorded it in their own, at their kitchen table, their dining room table. Allison's, if I didn't say it this week, thank you for allowing me and Danny and the rest of the film crew into your home. Thank you for that, all the hospitality. This week, I want to introduce you to Kevin Peterson. This is also pre-recorded. It's a 12-minute interview I did with him. Kevin is going to be a tremendous resource for this community. Danny is excited about Kevin. I've met Kevin now a couple of times. I'm excited about the work he does. He just works with families of the addict. That's his whole life's work. He works with the families, and his, I won't give any more of an introduction because I give some in the video, but he's going to be a resource for this community. He's also got a new book that came out just this week. We're going to drop a code in the comments. If you want to buy this book, it's called Chronic Hope, Families and Addiction. He's actually got 2 books out, but that's his new one. We'll drop a code in the comments, and you can get this book at a discounted rate on Amazon. But y'all help me welcome Kevin Peterson, all the way from Jacksonville Beach, Florida. Welcome, Kevin. Hey everyone, I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor here at Free Spiritual Community. And just to remind you, we are a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. Now, we're in this 3-week series called Boundaries, Loving the Addict in Your Life, and this series is for the loved ones of the addict. And tonight we have with us Kevin Peterson. Kevin Peterson is author and founder of the Chronic Hope Institute. Kevin, he's got some personal experience with this stuff to give you all hope, you family members who are watching your loved ones battle this thing we call addiction. He's got experience, he's got hope. He's 30 years sober this May, so I want y'all to help me welcome Kevin here.
Hey, Ryan. Thanks for having me, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for being with us, Kevin, all the way from Jacksonville, Florida. Thank you for being with us, where I'm sure it is much warmer there than it is here.
Yeah, we're actually in Jacksonville Beach, so I'm about a block from the ocean right now. It's about a nice, cool 65 degrees.
Thank you for running that in for us. Kevin, you said it was interesting. You said, when we were talking, you said, the family, that's all I work with. The family, and it's to get the family healthy, because we know when it comes to watching your loved ones battle, this isn't just about them, it's about the entire family. I also want to mention before you get into that with us, 2 books, the Chronic Hope, Parenting the Addicted Child, and your new book that just came out this week called Chronic Hope, Families and Addiction. And by the way, for you all watching right now, we will have a discount code. It'll go into the comments. You can pick this book up tonight at a very discounted rate. So check out the discount code in the comments and get the book. It just came out this week, Chronic Hope, Families and Addiction. But Kevin, I would love for you to tell us about the Chronic Hope Institute and why Chronic Hope.
Sure. That's a great question. And thanks for mentioning the books. That really means a lot to me. Those are kind of my pride and joy. So I grew up in a family of addiction. My mom was a prescription drug addict. I grew up in Palo Alto, California, and we had this big, beautiful $2 million home on the outside. And on the inside, it was sort of chaos and insanity and every man for himself. And so I grew up in a house of addiction. And at about 13 years old, I started using drugs and drinking, and I became an addict. And then I got sober when I was 27 in May of 91. And then I became a mental health professional when I went back to school at Regis. And so I like to think that I have the ability to see things from all different perspectives. I've been the family member, I've been the addict, I'm the sober person, and I'm the mental health professional. And the concept of Chronic Hope came from my buddy Josh Miller, actually, who said, what are you going to name your first book? And I said, I don't know. He's like, well, what's it about? And I said, well, all these families come to me and they truly believe that if they just say the magic words, the person and their family who's got a struggling with addiction is just going to see things differently and rationalize, and it's all going to be better tomorrow. And he's like, oh, so they kind of have like this chronic hope that the addict's gonna get better all by themselves. I said, yes, that's it. That's exactly it, and that's where we got the name. Um, and that's the truth. Is that the families that I work with really do think that if they just say the magic words or have the magic beans or whatever, it's all going to it's all going to self correct. It's all going to rectify itself, and it's not. And so what I had to do is based on my personal experience and my professional experience, come up of the step by step plan for the families to present and change the way they're handling for the loved one with addiction, and help them find a solution.
Yeah, thanks for that, Kevin. And tell us a little bit about. I know you've worked with dozens, hundreds, maybe thousands of families, and you've helped lots of families. You're going to keep helping lots of families. Um, but here we are in this series called Boundaries. I know a lot of your work focuses on boundaries. I know this work is in your books. This work is constantly coming up with the families that you meet with. Um, Tell us about the importance of boundaries when you're working with these family members, whether it's parents or siblings, whoever you're working with. And I also find it interesting, you said the importance of boundaries and why tough love doesn't work, why you don't believe in tough love.
Yeah, you bet. Well, let me take the second part first, the tough love piece. The problem with tough love is it's the old adage of we're gonna, pick the coldest day of the year, lock you out in your sandals and t-shirt and shorts in Denver when it's snowing, and until you change your ways, we're gonna act like you don't exist, and you're not gonna come back in the house, in the family. And the problem is that kills people. I believe that you have to approach people with love and empathy, and you have to offer them a solution. And you also have to offer them accountability. So when we talk about boundaries, I kind of created a plan. I call it Plan A. And what we look at is three categories. The first category is drugs and alcohol. And there's three elements to each category. The first one is the boundary. So we're going to say the boundary is no drugs, no alcohol. And every family I talk to is like, oh, we've tried that. And I'm like, okay, well, then let's set some accountability. Let's give it some teeth. And so we're going to start drug testing on a regular basis. And we're going to start using a breathalyzer or any kind of device that measures on a regular, constant basis. And then we're going to have a system of what I call structure, which is rewards and consequences behind that. So if you can't test clean, then the answer is going to be no to everything. And like if somebody's dependent upon the family, we're going to take away the phone and we're going to give them a flip phone. If they need to have a phone so you can get a hold of them, we're going to give them a flip phone. We're going to take away the car, the internet, all the privileges, and just make it really clear and concise. But we're going to do it with the position of, look, we love you. We're just not okay with this, and this behavior has to change. And that's the first category. The second category is work or school. And again, it's just about saying, hey, we're just going to hold you accountable. We're going to start checking your attendance, your grades, and whether or not you're turning in your work, or we're going to check and see if you're actually going to work and contributing to the family finances and hold you accountable to that position. The third category is behavior at home. And again, the boundary is going to be here's the list of things that we expect in a family member. And it's for everybody, not just the addict. And then we're going to have accountability is where we're going to have a meeting once a week and review how everybody's doing. And then the structure is that if you're doing well and everybody's getting along and you're passing the drug test, you're going to work, you're going to school, fantastic. Everything goes back to normal. If you're not, then it's very simple and straightforward. We love you, but if you're going to choose these behaviors, you're choosing not to have these privileges or not to be part of the family. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. And Kevin, what I find fascinating about your process is, and what I find compelling about it is you are committed to walking with these families from the beginning to the end. So you're not passing them off. You're not getting them to one point and then passing them off. You're walking with them from the moment they come in their hopelessness, and you're walking with them through the treatment, prior treatment, through treatment, after treatment, and it's guiding them in the process from the beginning to the end, which I find that really compelling. I think we need more of that. And Tell us a little bit about that, Kevin, the process of
Sure.
walking through the families. And also, I think it'd be interesting to hear what, when these families come to you, uh, correct me if I'm wrong, but they're in their utter hopelessness and brokenness. They're at the end of their rope in the recovery world, and working with being a recovering alcoholic and working with addicts and alcoholics. We call it the gift of desperation. I mean, they're totally at the end, and that's where these families are when they're coming to you. What do you say to them when they first get to you? What's the word of how do you demonstrate hope, and then tell us a little bit about the process of walking with them?
Sure, that's a great question. And really, the first phone call I get is, oh my God, we have a problem. We need your help. We need your help now. The way I always phrase it is that people come to me when their house is on fire, and they want help putting out the fire immediately. And traditional therapy tends to be more along the lines of having the fire department show up, plug into the hydrant, get the hoses all charged up, and right before they turn the water on, look at the family and say, "So how does it feel to have your house on fire? And what does it look like to you?" And asking all those therapeutic questions. And the model that I created is really more like, first things first. Let's put the darn fire out right now, and let's solve that problem. So that's the before model. I break things up in the new book, Families in Addiction. I break it up into three areas: before treatment, which is what we're talking about, that first phone call, and we put out the fire, and we set up the boundaries, and we set up a plan. And if the loved one can't follow the plan, can't get sober, can't stay sober, that's okay, because we're going to come at them with, great, now we've come up with a solution of where you can get some help. And then once the person goes to treatment, then the next section is, how do we help them? How do we help the family while the individual is getting their help and treatment? How do we help the family heal the family? Because one of the things we have to agree is that the way the family's been handling it hasn't been working. So they need help too, and heal that wound within the family. And then the third section, the third part, is how do we reintegrate everybody back home together and get everybody on the same team? Because we have to change the system. It's not about dropping off the person at Costco and getting a new one. We're not doing that. We're changing the individual, and we're changing the entire system. And that just takes engagement throughout the entire process.
Kevin, thank you so much for being with us today. A fascinating process, a process we need more of, and I know we could keep going today. There's lots of information. So y'all, if you want to connect with Kevin, go connect with him at his website, chronichope.us. And let me remind you, get his new book. It just came out this week, discounted for you tonight. Check out the discount code in the comments. But the name of the book is Chronic Hope, Families and Addiction. If you need that kind of hope, if you are the loved ones of, you need to check this out. Connect with Kevin. If you're looking for a concrete process, I mean, he's got a concrete process that he walks with you. And I can't stress that enough. Walks with you through this process. Reach out to him. Go to his website, chronichope.us. Kevin, thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Hey, man, thank you. It's my pleasure. I'm very, very grateful for you to spend some time with me.
And I hope we can have you back on.
I would love that. I would absolutely love that.
All right. Thanks, Kevin.
Our lights are still off, but oh, there we go. You know what, Kevin? No, we're not going to have you back on remote. We're going to pick the coldest day in Denver, and we're going to drag you from the beach right here to Denver, and you're going to be our guest storyteller. How's that? Hey, for those of you that do want to connect with Kevin Moore and his team over at the Chronic Hope Institute, again, check out chronichope.us. Get his book. There isn't a discount code, by the way, I'm told. They just extended the sale. The book is 99 cents if you get it. I think you've got, I don't know if it's tonight left or tomorrow, but get it soon because that sale will end and then it'll go to its normal price. So 99 cents, the Chronic Hope, Families and Addiction. And we have just a few minutes left here this evening and how we close things here at Free. Oh, and by the way, let me say this. Danny and Drew track things in the back. They do these little surveys that y'all take on the Facebook. For the 6 of you that responded that it's your first time here virtually with us tonight, welcome. Glad you're here.
I hope you come back. If you have any questions, reach out to us. We'd be happy to talk with you. Glad you're here. And thanks for identifying yourself as new. I know that can sometimes feel a little creepy and awkward, so thank you for that. The way we close things here at Free is we share heartaches together, because we realize that in this journey, especially in this community, especially in the Valley of Dry Bones, we experience some darkness. We carry some burdens, and these burdens are way too heavy to carry alone, so we carry them together and we lift these burdens to God, and we believe that God always hears the cries of the people. So I want you to take just a couple of minutes, and again, I want to encourage you and invite you to get vulnerable in this community. Let us in on your heartaches, your heartbreaks, your pain, your burdens, because this community will lift you up. Our prayer team here at Free will be lifting you up throughout the week. We will connect with you, but you got to let us in. You got to let people in. We do this work together, so take a couple of minutes and get vulnerable and open in this community. Brought in Peyton. All right, guys, I'm glad you're back. Sometimes we just have too much fun around here. Peyton is with me, my boy Peyton Smith. Peyton is on our prayer team here at Free, and since Tammy's not with us, and I saw her commenting in there, so she's with us, but not with us here. Peyton's stepping in the absence, and thank you for joining me, dude.
Thanks for having me.
As Saman said, you have big shoes to fill.
I mean,
You ready?
I'm kind of short.
You are short. Step it up. All right. So we are going to throw some on the screen, and we'll go back and forth and lift these heartaches up together as a community. Danny Colella, you want to go first? Why don't you go first?
Sure. Danny says, prayers for my neighbor, Lisa Pitts, Petrick, and that she finds peace with losing her dad in an unexpected way. Danny, we are so happy to have you here, brother. thank you, and we will send prayers. May God calm their family.
Lisa, yeah, prayers for Lisa. Thank you, Danny, for sharing. All right. What else we got, Brother Drew? We've got Doug here. Doug says the isolation is killing me. Man, we've heard a lot of people say that recently. And Doug, man, I hope tonight is a little solace, man. I hope it's a little comfort. I hope you feel. In fact, I want everybody watching right now and everyone in the room, just metaphorically, actually physically, extend your hands to Doug and wish him all sorts of well-being, all sorts of love and grace, and may he feel God's presence in his midst in this moment. May he feel the presence of community that is here, even if we're not really here, but we're here. Good vibes, good energy. God is with you, Doug. I'm glad you're here. Prayers for you, brother.
Look, Doug.
Debbie said, oh, sorry, dude. I keep stealing your thunder. Go ahead, dude.
Deborah, prayers as we say our final goodbyes to a lady we call Gran. The gates are open and God's arms are ready. You know, as I've heard it called before, may God promote Gran to glory.
Yeah, that's in the room here. I just shared with this community here that, that's Gran. That's my grandma, and I was one of my grandmas, and I was able to actually FaceTime with her earlier this afternoon and say a prayer over her. And I know the holding vigil period can be a holy, sacred moment. So prayers for Gran and those who are with her.
In death there is eternal life.
That's right. That's right. All right. This one's mine, right?
This is you.
Sorry, dude. I still get confused up here like it's my first time. Jamie says, Jamie Delgado, so please pray for the suffering addicts and their children. Two beautiful human beings laid their head down on the street and passed from addiction. Since June, I have known at least 4 people a month die to their addictions. Please, prayers for me as I'm in the street, that I may give comforting words and advice to those and that are listening. And y'all know Jamie. Jamie's a beloved member in this community. Jamie shared her story just a few weeks ago. And Jamie, what I know about you is you are in the streets. You are in the valley of dry bones with the people. And thank you for doing that work. And it's heavy and hard. And you're on the front lines, Jamie. Prayers for you and prayers for those. Thank you for, she always lifts up the addicts and their loved ones. And I'm so grateful she does. Thank you for that, Jamie. We're lifting them up with you.
What do we got? Mike Anderson. Loss of a friend to COVID. He was 10 years sober. Mike, may God calm you and all of those around you and who knew your friend. Very grateful, though, that you are a part of this community and that your friend was to pass sober.
Yeah, 10 years.
That's
kinda
awesome.
Cool.
That's cool.
Thanks, Mike, for lifting that up. Prayers for you and your friend. Amanda says, missing my brother today who passed in October. Amanda, glad you're in this community. Prayers for you during a time of grief. Glad you're here.
Amanda,
Prayers
we
for
love you so
Amanda.
much.
Yes, we do. All right. Shall we do a couple more?
A couple more.
Go ahead.
Is this one me or you?
Is it me? Peyton, come on, bro.
Elizabeth Scott. I found out some more about the not okay things my kid is doing, and it's breaking my heart. There's nothing I can do to help. Elizabeth, just want to say, may peace be over your heart. As a kid who was doing that myself, I know the heartbreak we cause our moms, so hopefully a little change can happen, and if not, we are so glad you're here, and we will help bring that peace to you.
Yeah, we carry these burdens together. Glad you're here, Elizabeth. All right, let's do one more. Lisa, what's up, Lisa? So good to see you here, Lisa. And Jim, I don't feel like he lifts us up, although I am still alive. Yeah, thank you for your honesty. I'm glad this is a place, this is a community where you can say things like that and no one's like, what? We're all like, yeah, that makes sense. Glad you're here, Lisa, praying for you. Thank you for your honesty and vulnerability. All right, y'all, you can keep them coming. We're going to continue to pray for you this week. Thank you, Peyton, for being part of this team and lifting people up.
May I real quick?
Here. Yeah.
Just as we are on the prayer team, please, as Ryan said, be vulnerable. Jason and I are here tonight. We would love to connect with you. So please, please send them in and we will reach out. Thank you.
Thank you, Peyton. All right, guys. Speaking of lifting burdens together and being on a journey together, I'll close with this. This wagon is the central image in our community. It has been the central image in this community since day one. Back in June of 2018, when we met in a Canada's backyard for our very first gathering, we had this wagon. And the wagon represents journeying together. On this wagon, you see a box. It's actually a Kleenex box, but we use it as a giving box. It's not our only giving box, so we have giving boxes scattered throughout this free premises. And listen, I'll say it, I try to say it as plainly as possible. Your generous giving here helps sustain, and it's not just about sustaining, helps this community thrive forward. The mission of breaking the silence of addiction. That's the work we do together. We don't do shame. Why a wagon? If you fall off the wagon, it doesn't matter if it's sobriety or if it's just the wagon of life. We believe in stopping the wagon and helping you get back on the wagon. It's why it's a central image. Your generous giving helps the wagon keep moving. And I want to let you know, and there is no gift that's too big or too small. We're grateful for it all. And there's 3 ways to give in this community. The first way is to simply download the app. It's free spiritual community. And you can give on there monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, however you want to do it. Or you can go to the website, freespiritualcommunity.com/give, and you can do the same thing there. Or text the number on your screen, text Be the Wagon. It'll send you some instructions, and your giving helps sustain and thrive, move forward the mission here at Free. So glad you all have been with us tonight. So glad you're here. We've got some work to do, though. We've got some community to be. We've got some joining with God to do and breathing a new life. Let's go out with a prayer, shall we? Let's go out with the Serenity Prayer. If you don't know the Serenity Prayer, it's on the screen, and I want to invite you to just find some quiet space in your heart, in your life, in the kitchen, in your living room, in the bathroom, wherever you are. Hold your hands open. It's a sign of openness. Invite God in and pray this prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Amen. And to you, my free brothers and sisters, may you experience all kinds of grace and peace in the journey as we walk through the valley of dry bones together. May you be a voice of hope. May you be a voice of new life as God is breathing through you and in you and all around you. Grace and peace.